Okay, good morning everyone. Good panel, extremely delighted to be moderating this panel. This conference has been very good for me. I'll tell you a couple of reasons. Yesterday I met my professor who taught me computer science, and this is more than a decade back or so. And the first thing he asked me, I was showing him my products or so, and he asked me, Ankit, do you still know how to code? Can you code it for me? I said, sir, ab to chhod do, ab kyo test le rahe ho? And today, unfortunately, she couldn't join us, but Dr. Vinita Sahay, who was to be there in the inaugural, she was my marketing professor, so it would have been a complete circle. I'll start this panel. See, I think this topic is not new. Everybody talks about skilling, upskilling, career services, or so. I think the first thing, and I was talking to Dr. Atish sir about AI, about career services, and his article came today in the newspaper about the advent of AI and others. So let me start with you, sir. In terms of the career services, we always talk about students being placed, right? Students being placed, because effectively students join to get placed. But in your opinion, how do you measure the effectiveness of the career services with respect to the college in terms of upskilling?
That's a fantastic question, and I started my career in Hyderabad, by the way, with in the 90s in Hyderabad, and Anand is right here. And I had the privilege of working
by the way, just to tell you, Anand sir was
he did his PhD from
PhD
from the ICFA Institute of Management Teachers.
Yes.
Okay. So I look probably almost of similar age, it seems. Okay. So I can go back, and I had the privilege of working with the founder of ICFA, that is NJ Shastri. Okay. And later on, I worked with SPGMR. Okay, very long stint at both the places, and successful stint, I should say. Now, Shastri sir would look at placement in a very different terms. Mm-hmm. He was a finance person. He would look at the capitalization, which means if I place 1,000 students, you know, IBS is about scale, and he always talked about scaling up.
Yeah.
So 1,000 students at 8 lakhs creates a capitalization of 80 crores. This is completely different from SPGMR, which is 200 students at 30 lakhs average package, makes it 60 crores. So how much value you have created, lens of Professor Shastri and lens of Dr. Manesh Shrikant, both are no more there, were very different. That is one way of looking at outcome. Okay. The second way of looking at outcome is what is the value you are adding. So if I take a guy who at graduation would have probably earned 3 lakhs and I make him place at 9 lakhs, the value added is 300%, which maybe Anand will be doing in ISBR. Okay. Whereas if I take my example at an SPGMR, I take a guy at 12 lakh and place the guy at 24 lakh, the value added is probably 200%. But when the report comes in, one is 24 lakhs starting package, one is 9 lakh starting package. But the question is both have added value, but different way of adding value. There's a second way. And third is the contribution to the society. Look at the placement reports, which, you know, you are part of the media, and the media reports were talking about in 2021 that I would not name anyone, but the top business schools, the starting packages were 30 lakhs. And look at an AIMS graduate who is a frontline worker, okay, fighting COVID, risking his or her own life, is getting 80K, okay, per month.
Yeah.
So there's a huge difference in the way contribution to the society to be looked at. Who is adding more value? The soap seller of livers graduating from a top school vis-a-vis an AIMS graduate saving life at the, who is a frontline worker. So these are three lenses. I would like to just, request the audience to think about these three lenses. One from the capitalization, second from the value-added part, and third from the contribution to the society.
And I think rightly said, you want to make a point, sir?
I want to add one part. So after PhD from ICFAI, I moved outside India. I have worked 12 years in many institutions. I have worked for 4 years in Malaysia in an Australian university there. I have worked with Asian Institute of Management in Manila, Philippines, a very highly regarded institution established by Harvard Business School. I worked in Dubai with American University in the Emirates and IMT, and I was also in Ghana, Africa. So after 12 years experience abroad, the first time when I moved out of India, and I asked them in the university I was working there, where is the placement office? I was shocked. There is no concept of placement outside India in many countries.
I agree. Yeah.
So I was just analyzing what they do there if there's no placement. No institution, business schools or universities are offering placement. They offer learning. They offer skill development. They offer lifelong learning. Students, when they study in these institutions, they become autonomous, independent learners. And the contribution to the society is a skilled individual who will give benefits to the society.
Yeah.
So the whole ecosystem is different. It all depends on where we are, which ecosystem we are playing.
Sure. And also I'll add one point. I think this is also critical to understand, because I was speaking with a few of the state governments, and this is a recent dialogue that we started in last 3 months with Kerala, Telangana, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. I think there is a study being done in terms of every skilled student, how much can they add to the state GDP. So in terms of if you are upskilling themselves, and it's still preliminary, so I can't give you the stats, but if we are able to push a blue collar worker to a grey collar worker to a white collar, and then there are certain categories in terms of the compensation of the white collar as well, if there is an upgrade that we are able to do through the upskilling, either through the institutions or through the companies or maybe through the governments, how much of the invested amount is getting into the GDP in terms of multiples. And if you are able to establish that fact, it will be very, very convenient for the state government as well as the central government to figure out that we need these many people at this roles, because this adds this much amount to the GDP. We will go all out to invest this much amount to upskill themselves. At least the money equation to certain extent may come out of the situation because of their backgrounds or so. Coming to you, Dr. Partha, next. I think VIT Vellore has been making strides. So my first question to you is, how do you place your institution to create future workforce? And what are you doing where thousands of students are being upskilled, placed? And as we were talking, everybody who gets into VIT, they know that they land a job.
Thank you very much. And also thanks all my colleagues here. In fact, let us think it very simply, and that what you'll understand that how really you do that in the campus. And of course, BIT is a different model, and how it works, you'll understand from, if I start on a small, very simple story, that a person was a typewriter about 10 years back. He was doing business with his typewriting machine, and every day he used to earn some money. Then after 5 years, he purchased one desktop printer. Then again, he is doing the same thing, and only the difference is that the data is now digitally he is storing. Then another after 5 years, maybe now he is having an iPod, smartphone with internet connection. So wirelessly he is printing. So you can see the, from this small story and 3 steps, you will observe 3 things. One thing is that career development or evolution, that from one step to another step. Then learning. So Professor has mentioned that lifelong learner. You see, 15 years back and now he is continuously learning new things. So, and even his designation is being changed in every step. So, and when internet came, then digital integration happened. So, what is called his certificates, people's certificate, all these things. Nowadays, we say your web presence or online presence is your biodata. Even if we take biodata for declaration, but basically we know about the people from his or her online presence. So these things and skill development, you see from typewriting to at present he is, so the skill development also is happening in every step. Similarly, either VIT or any institution, we need to think in that, that way. You see, now we have 78 programs. And out of 78 programs, 58 programs we have AI or ML courses. So before, just 5 years before, it was 0, no AI ML courses. So similarly, we have courses in deep learning, in cloud computing, cyber security, and all the advanced areas. So we added those courses for their, first of all, knowledge development. After that, what we do, I just mentioned you just a few minutes back, that a set of people for their, it's basically come in the campus for skill development. So we have series of skill development courses. And some of the courses do not have credit, but it is mandatory if they want to register for placement. So it is not in it's in hundreds, not in tens. People are from outside, renowned company like Unstop, and so they are coming here and training the students, especially the students. So this is one thing. And if you see that we have a called Teaching Learning Center for Excellence. So there it is mandatory for all VIT faculty members, minimum 5 days FDP. Sure. And I personally see these FDPs in which areas? In any area, whatever they want, we have a particular plan for that, where students will go, now where our faculty members need a skill set. Sure. So in those areas, we identify and train the people so that they can train the students. And at the same time, we, people, as I said, that people from outside, they train them. And of course, this kind of tests, mock tests and other things, the students are also interested. We also, we spend a lot of money for that. And all colleges, universities, they are teaching the students, of course, curriculum also, our my colleague has mentioned. So curriculum we involve in industries, yes. Mass industry involvement in curriculum. So along with that, the skill development happens, and sure. We ensure it.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. Coming to you, Dr. Sandeep, we know that nowadays digital credentials are very, very important or adapting, right? How are you adapting to the digital credentials, and what connection do you see it has in student employability?
Thank you. At the outset, let me bring to this wonderful audience the greetings of the 20,000 members of the 20,000 learners in the NITTE family, of whom more than 2,000 are faculty, because all of our faculty also consider themselves as learner number one in the whole process of education.
Awesome.
And I think that leads me on to discuss the point that you were making. What is the connection that we establish between the trends in digital credentials and the employability of our
Correct.
learners? In 3 quick minutes, I'll put it in 3 quick points.
Sir,
Point number 1.
Sir, if you can close the mic,
Sorry?
close.
Okay,
close
I'll
it.
keep it. The first point I'd like to make on that is we have understood the importance of digital credentials, verifiable digital credentials for all our students. Because at the end of the day, that is the degree plus that they get. They would get a degree, but the degree and its employability is anchored in the plus that is part of that. And that plus is the verifiable digital credentials that we provide to them. Because too often today, the bending of the truth happens. And to challenge the bending of the truth, we believe digital credentials are the way we can take it forward. Therefore, in every semester, we encourage our students to take courses which would give them additional credentials which are important for them to take forward. And therefore, at NITTE, skill-based education is critical. And if I could just play with the word, we often talk of skill education, but sometimes I think the word S is left out of skill education. And you know what happens, you take out S out of skill and leave the rest of the sentence there. More often than not, it becomes skill education rather than skill education. And we believe digital credentials help us resolve that particular challenge. Point number 2, digital credentials help us to have a digitized certification of what we do. But NITTE, we have tried one more thing. While we privilege offline learning, we also focus on offline training and experience besides having offline learning. Because we have come to believe that true skill development cannot be done totally offline, but requires online presence and practice.
Okay.
And third and last, and this is something we have been making a lot of paying a lot of attention to. I think there is what we have defined the challenges of digital credentials in a phrase, triple SPI. And we are working on resolving these 5 challenges. And I'll just name them because we have a paucity of time. The triple S is sustainability. Mm-hmm. How do we ensure the sustainability of these certifications? How do we ensure the scalability of these certifications? Yeah. I want my student, she should get a certification across her semesters, which she can scale up from semester to semester. Yeah. Thirdly, the security of these credentials, and then the INP, which I wanted to talk about, is the integrity and the portability of these credentials. Yeah. So for me, the triple ISP is the challenge, and we at NITTE are working on this challenge on a daily basis because we believe it is work in progress and constantly needs to be worked upon. Yeah.
And I think, sorry, go ahead.
30 seconds more. The DNA we are hoping that the skill will develop is D being, for us DNA is different. D is the digital excellence of my learner. The N is the nurturing of her and his emotional intelligence, and A is the awareness that they get 360 degrees, and that we believe is possible through the first point I made of a plus to their degree through these certifications that they are able to gain.
Sure. No, I think just wanted to make that point on the digital credentials. It is very, very important for us to have that as part of the ecosystem and at a centralized place. So we have been, working with NPCI to create that APAR, which is essentially nothing but how you, do verification of your identity through Aadhaar. Companies are looking at that. If a person is applying, how should I know that that person is Ankit Aggarwal? So we solve that problem through Aadhaar verification. Now the next level of the problem that needs to be solved is whether that person really has that degree or not, or that certification or not, or those marks or not. And that, I think, APAR might be a good certification, but APAR itself won't be able to do anything unless and until all the universities join hand with APAR, right? Coming to you, Dr. Prabhu, next. In the industry changes, that's happening consistently, right? And I think Sir also mentioned about the continuous learning. How do you ensure that the continuous learning is there, but that learning also gets changed based on the industry changes, and that might be what you learned 6 months before, that might have changed now, and that may require a relearning?
I don't think I have a straight answer to your question. I'm a graduate, 45 years ago, and there are, I can say, so many changes that have occurred over these last 45 years. We carry computers in our pockets now, which we didn't even imagine. We don't think now a college and a university can actually prepare you for the future. I don't think so. You can give them a good, rounded foundation to begin their careers. You can get them started. But with the rapid changes and advances in technology, learning has to be lifelong. And I think the idea of digital credentials, like you mentioned, sir, the SSSPI will play a critical role in this. Yeah. Self-learning and lifelong learning will have to be, if you think at a university, I come in at 4 years degree and I will be prepared for the future, I doubt it. I seriously doubt it that that's going to happen. I think there are the plus point from you, I like to pick up on that. That stays. We should prepare our students more on these plus skills: critical thinking, problem solving, adaptability, agility, resilience, communications, teamwork, collaboration. That's going to foster them into being productive for the next generation, unless until they start living with robots, which might happen. Then those skills are also probably not necessary, as a pun. So I think it's very hard to answer your question. I think a university should really have a strategy for lifelong learning. I was talking to the CEO of a leading business school in London, and I asked him something, and he said, I'm in the monopoly business. I said, you are in the education business. How can you be in the monopoly business? He says, because if you join us, you become our alum. And you can only become our alum if you graduate from us. And I pondered on that. And it was like, yeah, it makes sense. Because how many of us in India, see, I've been disassociated with India for many years. I've only been back here for 8 to 10 years, and I've been in the foreign ecosystem for a long time. There's no concept of placements and so on and so forth. They have lifelong relationships with their students. Once you graduate as an LBS alumni, you are an LBS alumni, LBS student till you die. We don't see that happening here. We have to strengthen that. So we should have an office of lifelong learning at your universities. That's a very simple thing you can do with their sole intention to follow up with graduates. Our job stops not with placing our student. Our job should continue to foster their lifelong career developments. And I really hope one day this whole debate about placements goes away in India.
I hope so.
It won't happen though. Because the first question students ask is, how much is the fee? And the second question is, how much is your average pay package? Yeah. And that is the only sole criteria, not who is your faculty, not what is the incoming class, or so on and so forth. Critical questions that I believe should be answered. are not being asked or answered right now.
No, I agree. And Professor Anand, on this point, how do you see the online courses outside of what teacher teaches in the classroom is adding to the learning bit? Is it critical? Is it just an enabler? It is just an add-on, or can they even replace what's happening in the college?
So before I answer that question, let me explain what I understand by learning itself. So it's easy to say learning, but if you dig deep into what is learning, we can actually go into a scientific route, right? Learning is always experiential. The scientific evidence is that. Now, what sir is saying, I 100% agree to that. Now, our NEP and a lot of thought leaders in education are also telling that learning can be categorized into skills, knowledge, value, attitudes, etc. Now, when we focus on skills part of it, right, we can again talk about technical skills, domain skills, soft skills. Now, the online digital components, it's very easy for any student to learn technical skills from that. You can learn various ways of completing a task using the concepts, using the techniques, and technical skills can be very well taken care by the digital courses. Domain also, up to a large extent, can be taken care by digital. The main focus here, as sir is also saying, is about the soft skills.
Yeah.
How can you learn soft skills of critical thinking through online certificates? How can you learn teamwork and leadership skills without doing it in an experiential manner? That comes to experiential learning loop there, right?
Correct.
So there is a limit to what we can learn from online digital platforms at this point of time through the courses. I'm not saying that it is not at all possible to learn critical thinking leadership skills from online means. It is possible because technology is making it possible through virtual classrooms and virtual experiences, right? But I'm talking about certificate courses only for the time being.
Agree.
And when I compare, it's very natural for me to compare because I have 12 years worked abroad, like sir, I have worked abroad for some number of years. What the university's education university education professors do there is to focus on the soft skills a lot. I was amazed to see when I was teaching my first time in Malaysia, first time I went outside India to teach. I was not allowed to teach for 1 year. No one in these universities, many universities can teach even if you have 20 years experience, if you have not completed a course of scholarship of teaching and learning, where you learn about scientific methods of teaching for 1 year, and then you start teaching in the classroom, because just a PhD doesn't qualify you to become a teacher. You have to go through full training and learning on how to teach effectively, and then you can go to the classroom. And then second surprise to me was, even if you're teaching technical skills or domain, for example, teaching marketing, every session was mapped to the soft skills. When I'm teaching, suppose, positioning, in my 1 hour, 1.5 hours of teaching, what are the different soft skills I'm developing there? Am I developing critical thinking in the classroom in these 90 minutes? So the technical skills are imbibed into the soft skills. They are not separable, and that is the way the faculty members there are trained first to teach. Unfortunately, that whole ecosystem is missing in India at this point of time.
Thank you. Thank you. So, yes, Dr. Sandeep, you have a point.
I just wanted to add a footnote to what is being said on 2 points. The whole question of lifelong learning and the question of skill. I think the NEP gave us a very right message, and when the Prime Minister launched it, he asked us all that question. Should our learner be looking at what to learn or how to learn? And lifelong learning is about how to learn and not what to learn. And do our classrooms and does our space of education allow for that how to learn?
In fact, sir, there is a workshop that students asked. So this workshop was done for the incoming batch of the students who were getting into B school, ZIMES and all. You won't believe the title of that workshop was Learn What to Learn in a B school. because you need to identify that.
Which raises a bigger question. Have we transformed our education spaces into spaces of learning from zones of teaching?
Yeah.
They were zones of teaching. Have we made it
Yeah.
places and spaces of
True.
learning?
True.
Now, I think that is a critical transformation that we have to look at.
Sure.
All the skills we talk of our learners needing to have, do the learning spaces offer them an opportunity to develop it? It's not about 1 hour per week or 1 hour per month or 1 hour per year that you do that. Now, is it something that happens on a continuous basis? And finally, is it about procedures and processes, rules and regulations, or is it fundamentally about my attitude?
Sure.
If we are creating a learning paradigm, is it about our way of thinking collectively, all stakeholders?
Sir, on that point, let me come to you, Mr. Hari. I know you've been patient in the large panel that happens. I just wanted to connect. See, the information is out there, and there is a breadth of information that any learner, whether that's a student or working professional, that sort of goes through. And many a times, all students are clueless what to do in life from their day one. And that's where I believe that the mentorships, critical mentorships from the industry practitioners help you, because we all talked about skills, we all talked about up skills, but what are those skills that I should do now versus what should I do in 6 months? So what is your opinion on, from the industry point of view, how relevant are mentorships? If yes, how should we enable that to happen?
Thank you very much for having me on the panel. The very eminent academicians here on the panel, and probably I'm from the industry side. I actually don't envy their jobs, because students coming into higher education come from a very broken schooling system. And then there is the other side, the industry, which has expectations which is changing and pretty large. So in 4 years or 3 years, all of these people are transforming these children from a system that's not equipped to build them into higher education. Now, your question was very relevant, because any job, like Professor Sandeep said, it's all about the attitude. If you have the right attitude, you can teach them anything, be it knowledge, skills, anything can be taught. The attitude is the key thing. But every job has 2 sets of components, the horizontal components and the vertical components. The horizontal components is what we are trying to fix, like all the professors said. All of the things like critical thinking, problem solving, communication, creativity, all these are horizontal. These are essential to build anything vertical, be it IT, manufacturing, retail, hospitality. All these are verticals that add to the students' capability to find themselves employable. Now the challenge is there, because they've not been brought up in the system which equips them with at least the foundation. Every job, be it an IT job or a healthcare job, the combination of soft skills and hard skills vary. IT will have larger of domain skills and little of soft skills like communication, maybe collaboration at best. But an healthcare job needs a lot more empathy, a little lesser amount of domain skills. So the industry views that it has to come as a combination. The industry decides what is a combination that is pertinent to them. And that is where I think one of the things that I heard recently is that we should not leave the entire curriculum design to industry. Sure. That would be a bad bet, because foundations will get very weak. If you don't teach them physics and you teach them higher order employability skills, it will not work. So we should have that foundational skills which are strongly embedded in the students. I don't know if many universities continue to teach algorithm analysis and design as the base before you teach them syntax. But everybody wants, fancy things like AI and ML and cybersecurity, higher order cybersecurity skills, cyber forensics and all of that. But the foundation is seemingly lacking. And industry is actually crying out for that. Now, industry's approach to academia is that I'll replace your course with what is industry relevant, also will not work. I think there's a combination that will work where foundation is strong, and then on top of that, you build that industry specific or the relevance. Often said that talent is not available or talent doesn't come out from education. I think it's not right. It's just that you need to collaborate with both these groups, build the credentials, the digital global benchmarking. It's very easy to do that and build this into the system. In my past employment, I've done this, where we did global credential, and 84% of the HR managers were positively disposed to these credentials compared to the university degree itself. Now, that is something that all higher education institutions need to build, besides building this entire foundation.
Sure.
Now, one of the things that we do at Vadvani Foundation is that we also teach micro-entrepreneurship as a part of our program. The reason is that many of them will not become entrepreneurs. But if you come with an entrepreneurial mindset, you seem to be doing well at jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
You teach them financial literacy. A lot of people get a lot of money when they graduate from this. They need how to manage the money.
Yeah.
Blowing up all the money doesn't help. So all of these competencies are the horizontal, and I think we should do that.
Yeah. On your last point on entrepreneurial mindsets, I was speaking to government of Karnataka and TIE Bangalore, and they had a very interesting observation. So when TIE Bangalore went to a college in one of the rural areas of Karnataka, they wanted to inculcate entrepreneurial mindset. So what they did was that they gave 2 months their internships, and they basically said that whoever is looking at doing anything in entrepreneurship, raise your hands, and there were about 20-25 people. What they said was that our college is on the outskirts, and we are sure that you'll find small businesses at least within a kilometer of the college, whether it can be a dhaba, it can be a retail shop or so. You just go there